Okay, switching gears to the promised demo on Arcion Cloud today. So Arcion Cloud is a fully managed software as a service running on AWS. We do CDC-based data mobility, as we've mentioned, but this version running on the cloud is a fully managed service, which means you don't have to deploy any software, you don't have to upgrade, maintain any software, no DevOps hassles, all the good things that you would normally associate with a managed service. This is going to be GA'd, very soon, but I'm going to demonstrate a live working demo today from an Oracle database that's running on Amazon to a Databricks cluster. We're going to move close to 1 million rows, 12 tables, and I'm going to show you that how to do that with a few clicks. It's super easy to do on our cloud service. The UI is very intuitive, and let's get started. So this is the first page that you're going to land if you sign up for our cloud service. So you log in, get yourself registered, and then the first thing they're going to see is this. If you have already created some replications earlier and you re-log in, you're going to see some previously created replications, but right now we're starting off with a clean slate, so you don't see anything here. So I'm going to go and start creating a new one from scratch here. So let me explain the general workflow here on the UI side. The first step is what we call as the general step, where you basically set up a new name for a replication here. In our case, we'll just pick up something like, demo for 17 or something, right? Once you set up the name, you have to select what replication mode you use. I've already talked in the in the presentation that there are different modes of replication, and we do initial snapshot and we do CDC, all of that in one flow. So the same thing is in the product as well. The snapshot mode here is the initial data load, one-time data movement from A to B. Real time is the CDC part, where we pick up the live changes from the transaction log. The full mode is the one that I'm going to use today for the demo. So this means we'll move the initial snapshot data. Once that is done, we're going to wait for updates to happen on the source database. And once there is an update on the source database, we're going to pick the change and move it, apply it to the target here. There are 3 write modes we have: append, replace, and truncate. Very simple. The first mode is append, where you already have data in the data warehouse or something, and you keep appending the data. The other 2 modes are pretty much, kind of getting rid of the existing data and moving new data. So replace is a mode where we delete all the schemas and drop all the tables. Truncate is a mode where we keep the table definitions, but we truncate all the data. For the sake of this demo, we are going to have a full mode and replace here, and I selected a name for the demo, and we just hit next here. So the next step here, as you can see in this workflow, is to create a source. Here I've selected Oracle RDS as a source. I have already input the parameters that are needed to connect to an Oracle database. If you are a DevOps person or data engineer or a DBA with some familiarity with Oracle, it's very simple to set up these parameters. We have an additional thing called extractor, which is an advanced set of parameters to connect to the source database and pull data from the source database. I'm going to use default parameters for the extraction here, and we'll proceed. But in general, our production users, advanced users of our product, would typically have an extractor file with some advanced values here. So I'm going to select Oracle here and move on to the next step, which is to select the target system here. I'm going to also now talk about some other parts of the workflow here. So we selected the full mode and the replace write mode. We selected the source database type, where in the part where we select the destination. Once you select the destination, the next step is to do the filtering. Filter means, if you have 1,000 schemas, 20,000 tables, on the source side, but you want a subset of the schema, subset of the table, subset of the columns to move to the target system. The filtering screen is an option to do that. I will show you a demonstration of that in the next screen. So here we have pre-populated a Databricks cluster here, and we're going to write it to this Databricks cluster that we already spun, and we're going to try to see if the Databricks cluster is up and running, and just do a test connection and see what happens on the target side. We know that the target is ready, so we go to the filter here. What it's going to do first is to bring all the schema information from the source database here. As you can see here, we have tons of data here. So we are going to just get the schemas. I'm going to there's multiple tables in the schema. I'm going to just show you that we can do a subset of it. So I've selected a subset of the tables in this schema, and we're just going to start the replication here. As we do the replication here, I'm going to talk about the mapper here. So the mapper functionality is a functionality where we can rename tables, rename columns, change the data types of tables and columns and all of that. So here is a screen you are going to get, which is our dashboard. So the dashboard is essentially telling you what's happening. And as you can see here, we have started, creating the tables on the Databricks side. So the first thing we do is we take the schema definitions from the source database, and we create the equivalent table definitions on the target side. So we build some additional capability on our UI, which is to stream out trace logs so that we can alert users of errors or things that they need to be alerted about. There is a user actions dashboard here which tells you what's happening. So let's go to Databricks and see if we have got some tables created here. So let's run this command. It seems we have already created the tables on the Databricks side. So I'm going to go back and see what's happening. So it seems like we have created the tables, and we have started to export the data from the Oracle side. And let's see what's happening to the dashboard. We have started the snapshot phase here, which is the initial data movement here. I've selected a few tables. Some tables have fairly large number of rows. The customer table has 300,000 rows. I can show you here. This is my Oracle screen. The customer table has 300,000 rows. Orders 4 here has 100,000 rows. We go back to the screen. We're waiting for the data to show up on Databricks here as we started loading the data. We see that one table nation is already done, and then we wait for some of the other data to be loaded. So I'm going to go back to the previous screen as we keep loading the data, show you what else is there on the dashboard. So the dashboard has a lot of interesting information. It's going to show you what is the rate of replication here, and the overall progress. This is a chart that we show for insert, updates, and deletes. As you can see here, we are moving, we moved 20,000 rows already, 9 tables. The data rate is increasing, and some of the data has already gone in. So this is another interesting thing in the dashboard, where we are going to switch this from the snapshot load to continuous mining. So as we proceed in the full mode, there is a phase where the initial data load is complete, and we are going to go to from initial load to continuous mining. We go back to the dashboard here, and we see that we have started moving data now for all the tables. Some of the tables are complete. Orders is complete here, 100,000 rows. We have moved nation 25 rows, supplier And let's see the count on Oracle for some of these tables and Databricks, if they match. So we'll pick up one of the tables here, which is orders one. So we go to Oracle here and we say orders one, that's 100,000 rows. And we go to Databricks and try to get the count for orders one. And let's see what comes up. 100,000 rows. So we were able to replicate all the data. And now we're in the process of moving the other tables here, fairly large tables, some of them are 100,000 rows each. Let's go back to the previous screen and show you, some more metrics that are interesting to you. The other things here are, we have an additional thing here called buffered operation count, which is, if we get, a lot of operations from the source side, we buffer them in memory and then we apply it on the target. So we have this count that you could monitor in real time. In this case, there are no errors, but if you're running a production workload, then you could, if there are errors here, that some of these would show up, and you're going to get a small list of all the relevant parts of the trace log, which, and then events. Right now we don't have anything, but if this is the part where you can subscribe to certain events, like, hey, like a schema change happened, or certain things happen to the database, so you could register yourself for some events. So as you can see, we are still loading the data, and okay, we have done most of the tables now, so we're still waiting for orders table here and customer table here. Okay, it seems we have been able to get customer data up and running. So let's look at the counts. It seems like we are done with all of it. So close to 1 million rows, pretty much within a few minutes. Let's go back and see, are we ready to do continuous CDC? It seems like we're ready to pick up the changes now. As the last step in this demo, I'm going to run an update query on a table in Oracle, which is, let's pick up a table from here. We go here and we just select a table. Let's say we pick up orders 2 here, and we're going to apply some changes on orders 2. So I'm going to update this table orders 2 here, and we're going to set a update clause, like a test kind of thing, and let's pick up. So I have done a transaction in Oracle which has more than 100 rows, fairly a large update batch. So what is happening on the Oracle side here is the changes are going to the transaction log here. So once the transaction log is flushed, our log reader on Oracle is going to sniff for changes. Once we detect this change, remember I talked with you about a filter file. So we're going to see that, hey, orders 2 is part of filter. So we're going to pick up this change because this is part of the change set. We pick up the change, we get it to our Arcion service. Then we massage all the 127 rows. We get it ready for Databricks, and we're going to apply it in the target. So let's go and see, what's actually happening. So we go back to summary. We can check what's happening to the trace, and it seems we are pretty close to picking up the changes. So the idea is to start picking up the changes and move to Databricks. We are going to wait for a few seconds for the change to show up. This is a 100 row update, so we're going to wait for a few seconds for it to show up. Till it shows up, I'm going to show you a few more things, like are we on the row counts. I can show you some of the other tables. Let's say order 6, 100,000 rows here. Order 7, 100,000 on our Oracle side. We're going to run this on. So essentially what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to show that, we have been able to move all the data correctly, the initial data load, and, so back to the summary. Let's look at the log. So we've been able to pick up the changes here. As you can see here, we have some buffered operation 69, and I mentioned to you that we had 127 rows updated. So we were able to pick up the changes from Oracle within a minute. We can see here the buffered operations count is 127, and we are now in the process of massaging the data for moving to Databricks. Oh yeah, and then we have already started applying here. We have now 66 rows that have already applied, and very soon we are going to apply. So as you can see, the total lag introduced by our product is 1.1 second, and we're able to pick up all the 127 rows from Oracle, and now we're in the process of applying them to Databricks. That is all I have for the CDC part of the demo, and I would like to now pass over to Soham for the next set of demo.
Can you all see my screen? So okay, so you saw like how easy it was to use Arcion and get the data into the Databricks bronze layer. Now, as I mentioned earlier, from bronze to silver and silver to gold, you can achieve real-time CDC, or near real-time. You can do it batch, but you can do delta to delta table transformations using delta live tables and build your pipelines, right? And if bronze is getting loaded in a real-time fashion, then chances are you want to do bronze to silver, silver to gold layers using in a streaming fashion as well. So we went through most of this earlier, how delta live table can be used as a streaming source as well as a target to achieve and like a streaming pipeline. So let's look at some code here. So as you can see, to make, first of all, delta live table, just by using the keyword like, it's literally a create table as statement, right? Raj loaded some customer tables, some order tables. So here's a simple query on it. And I just added the word stream next to those source tables. And on the target side, I said, make my target also a streaming target by adding the word incremental or streaming, right? So you say create a streaming or incremental live table in your next zone, which is silver in my case. You can even add some data quality constraint, as you can see here. I'm saying that if a certain column has a certain value, then drop the records or at least mark it and so on. And then after that, I'm saying create a gold table based on that silver table. And then I'm doing some aggregation, sum and count by. So I have to just write code in a very simple fashion, no Java, Scala, complex streaming codes necessary. It is very much pure SQL, more or less. And then once you productionize this, you create a job using this notebook. It will look something like this. So this lineage of the table is automatically captured. As you can see here, I had that data quality rule. Because of that, some of the records were dropped. That's what I wanted. I could even mark it and move forward. And then after the silver table was loaded, the gold table is loaded with the aggregation. So, so in a nutshell, use a CDC tool like Arcion to get your data in near real time from your sources like Oracle, SAP, SQL Server, etc., into the bronze layer of Databricks. And from that point onward, use delta live tables and schedule your pipelines in either a streaming fashion or near real-time streaming. If you want to, let's say, run it every 10-15 minutes, you can do that as well. So with that, we conclude our demo here. Thank you.